Hey everyone, welcome back to Crown Stag voiceover. My name is Neil Glasgow. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about AI voices, and I'm specifically going to talk about some things that have come up over the last couple of weeks, really. And I've been a bit hesitant to make this video because I often felt like, oh, you've got a little bit of information, do you know enough? Go back, learn some more. And I did that 2 or 3 times to try and make sure that what I'm about to say to you was as accurate as I can make it. So, with all of that in mind, let's get into it. Okay, so bear in mind, this is largely anecdotal. This is a lived experience by myself. I'm not saying this is by any means industry standard, okay? But if it's happening to me, it may happen to you. So a couple of weeks ago, I reached out to one of my former clients who works for a very large, international, I think they are, job board site, one of the big ones. And I'd done some work with them in the past, and it was just one of those regular things which you should absolutely be doing every 6 weeks, 8 weeks, something like that, just to drop in, hey, how you doing? You know, make sure they remember you exist. So I was speaking to this contact of mine, and we worked together maybe on about 5 or 6 different projects, and they said, oh, we're actually trying something new at the minute. We're doing the AI voice. I was like, okay, fine, that happens. So I dropped him a message about a day later, and I went, well, just as a sanity check, just for my own information, how are you getting on with it? And he came back in, very honest with me. He said, it's really not the best. He sent me a couple of links, which I'll put in the description below, to some of the campaigns that he ran. And he said, it's things like sometimes I might have to write things out phonetically, so I'd have to write, dot, D-O-T, co, C-O.UK, so, Y-O-U-K-A-Y, that sort of thing, to get it to do it. Inflection, nuance, all of that sort of stuff is a really difficult thing for them to tie in. However, the big nail in the coffin that he came out with, and I thought, bloody hell. He had a license for this particular brand of AI voice, and there are hundreds, if not thousands, out there. He had a license, a lifetime license, right? Use it as much as you please, for £30. And that was a big thing for me. I was like, well, what? Like, how do I compete with that long term? I mean, even the campaign that he ran is probably 80% good. I mean, you can absolutely tell it's an AI voice. But for 30 quid, if they were going to use me, minimum, my basic studio fee for that client is about £300. Plus commercial usage rights and all that sort of stuff. They essentially negated all of that cost. Now, by his own admission, it's not the best tool, and it may get better. At the minute, he has a lifetime license, 30 quid. But the big thing was he managed to put the entire campaign together in about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours, which again is quite a big thing. So that was my starter. And I thought, God, okay, what does that mean for me? So I started going out and speaking to other contacts, particularly people in marketing and advertising. And the general consensus I got back was, yeah, we're starting to use this, or at least we're testing it out. And with any new technology, platform, anything like that that's out there, and bear in mind, this happened to us in the last couple of years, right? Everyone with a home studio did really well because they couldn't access studios to do voiceover, and what we've discovered is, if you've got a decent home space, clients aren't really asking you to go into the studios. That makes a massive impact for the studios themselves, okay? So just keep that in mind with what I'm saying. So they've said, yes, we are starting to use it. And again, what is coming out of the conversations is, largely, it's okay. It takes a lot of tweaking. It can take several hours to maybe develop a 10-minute script, perhaps, to get it to the right inflections and the right sound. And when you're on a low budget, perhaps that is a very appealing thing. However, when I start speaking with the clients about, okay, well, what about your national campaigns that you're running or your global campaigns that you're running? Would you use this? And again, 9 out of 10 times, absolutely not. They wouldn't trust it. It's not developed enough yet. They would come to someone like us. Would you use it for this type of campaign, that type of campaign? And again, it comes into this cost-benefit analysis. And what I'm getting from a lot of the clients is essentially money talks, right? That's kind of the name and theme of this video, where if your budget is limited and maybe you're a smaller studio or a smaller client, you might be inclined to use that because it is, it's better than text-to-speech, the Siri type thing, but people are getting more and more used to hearing those voices. And it's only, I suppose, a more keen ear that's going to think, hang on, there's something not quite right with the way that this person is speaking, and then they might realise, it's an AI voice. And particularly when you go to clients that are looking for personable, conversational reads, AI voices largely aren't there. Now, let me take you to the complete flip side. You've heard of deepfakes, right? That type of AI technology is really impressive, really, really impressive. And it can fool a lot of people to thinking that, one thing that didn't happen actually did, whether that's facial recognition or the voice. But something like deepfakes is significantly more expensive than you or I would be. Per video, the processing power alone, we're talking tens of thousands of pounds to do a really good thing on a large scale. Those are the large studios spending a lot of money to do something fake, and really cost benefit, they would probably come to a real voice. Now, what does this mean for me, for you? Does it mean that we need to alter our pricing structure? Does it mean that we're going to have to adapt to a new paradigm, a new normal? Does it mean that we have to diversify the type of clients that we work with? Yeah, all of the above, probably. At some point, if not now, maybe in the future. Or offer something beyond what you may be offering now, or at least starting to think about that sort of stuff. So, I have a booth. I can say to a client, I don't need to go into a studio. I can do remote directed sessions from here. I have a DAW. I can edit all my stuff. I kind of wrap a whole lot of service into what I offer. And I can do that because I've learned and I have the experience to do that. You're essentially, with me, you're getting a director, a sound engineer, a voiceover artist, an editor. I do a whole bunch of stuff. And that gives me a competitive edge against some maybe other voiceover artists or certainly some other studios. Now, can I compete with £30 for a lifetime license to run any campaign you like? No, not really. And I may lose more clients to that, at least in the short term. There is going to be this crunch, let's call it, of clients testing out a newer, cheaper technology to deliver the campaigns that they need in, the most cost-effective way that they can see. And the only real proof in the pudding of whether that works for them is the feedback they get from their audience, from their clients, from their internal markets, wherever that might be. And as I say at the moment, and I'll put the description in, I'll put the links rather in the description, you can go and you can hear so many really terrible campaigns that are out there using AI voice. Finding the ones that are nearly passable is actually a little bit more difficult, but they are there. And those are the ones that cost a lot more money. And long term, if a client has got a developer or someone working on their campaigns that can manipulate that in a really key way, that is going to be a new business area for them to explore. So what I would advise everyone to do is be conscious, be aware, educate yourself on what these capabilities and platforms can do, and come up with your counterpoint to it. Come up with your next sell value that you can offer your clients. So when you're highlighting to them that previous clients perhaps would go through 3 or 4 hours of revisions trying to get the inflection just right, well, actually, when I'm in the booth with my clients and they say, oh, do you know what, a little bit brighter, a little bit this, a little bit that, I can instantly do the bits that they're asking for, and that comes part and parcel with the cost. And if you can adjust your costs, either inflation or maybe a little bit deflation, and nobody wants to go down, nobody does, but the reality is it's the difference between being competitive in a market that is changing and, well, dying as an industry. And that's it. That's my 2 cents on this particular topic. It kind of threw me that a big client, really an international client of mine, is using something particularly that cheap, but let's check again in 6 months, see if it's been working for them. And one of 2 things is going to happen. It either has or it hasn't. But the reality is that I may need to develop a completely new client from one that I've been working with a long time and may not ever get the chance to work with again. If you found this video remotely helpful or insightful, I realise it's not the cheeriest video I've ever made, but it is something that I think you do need to be aware of, especially if you're just starting out. Well, drop me a like and subscribe, hit the notification bell if you like my content, and remember, you can still be a voiceover artist. I'll see you in the next video.